You ready?
I'm ready.
Don't be nervous, James. Don't be nervous.
Okay.
Okay. Give him one of these. There you go.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Vibrations and Libations. I'm James.
And I'm Keith.
And we're back finally after a solid month of not doing any videos.
Yep, we've been really lazy.
And sick.
Yeah, everybody has the flu.
Yes.
Everybody in Kentucky has the flu right now.
Except for us two right now.
Because our families have had the flu, and we're all over it.
Yeah. So the last video that we did was the Vibrations and Libations Christmas special with the Christmas album that we had, and that was right before Christmas. So
and the eggnog, which was spectacular.
And the eggnog. We may have to just make some more eggnog.
Maybe.
Sometime.
It's cold as fuck right now.
What's the next holiday? Valentine's Day?
Yeah. We'll make some Valentine's Day eggnog.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Yep.
So tonight, if you haven't already noticed, we're listening to The Doors, listening to L.A. Woman. Man, one hell of a rock and roll album.
One hell of a rock and roll album. And
in the honor of remembering Jim Morrison, we're going to drink some, not whiskey, but bourbon. Kentucky bourbon, because that's just what we do here in Kentucky.
Well, it's bourbon whiskey, right?
Sure. Sure.
Which whiskey?
You say tomato, I say bananas.
Yes.
It doesn't matter, so.
Yeah. Well, I bet it says on the bottle.
It does say on the bottle.
It says right on the bottle, Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey.
So Keith is holding a bottle of Elijah Craig, small batch, and I have a portion of a bottle of Larceny Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. This is 92 proof. What's the proof on that? 94?
94.
94, so if you're wondering why I'm holding an almost empty bottle of whiskey, let's call out, I'm sorry, bourbon. Those out there who are going to make a big deal about that. I like bourbon, and that means I drink bourbon, and unfortunately all the liquor stores around me did not have this type of bourbon, so this was all I had left. So I think there's still a snort or two left for me and Keith to be able to enjoy this tonight. So trying to get more bourbon on the channel, so tonight we'll definitely do that.
That's right.
So again, Jim Morrison, The Doors. I mean, what can you say about them that hasn't already been said?
We can say a lot.
And we're going to.
Yeah, most likely we'll talk too long, as we always do.
As we always do, right? So, for those who may not know about L.A. Woman, do you have any information you'd like to share with these people out here?
A little bit.
Okay.
This particular album was their 6th studio album, and it was released on April 19th, 1971. It peaked at number 9 on the Billboard charts, and it was also the first album that without Paul Rothschild as a producer. They kind of had a falling out a little bit. He didn't like their direction they were going with the album.
Right.
He said, as a matter of fact, he said Lover Madly sounded like lounge music or cocktail music.
Wow.
And he said stuff like that to piss him off, to make him work harder. But I think Janis Joplin dying and everything kind of messed him up a little bit, and he just wasn't feeling it. The Doors weren't feeling it, and he suggested that they produce it themselves, along with their sound engineer Bruce Botnick.
Yep.
And so that's what they did. They left the recording studio and went to a place they had rented to rehearse in, and they kind of set up in that 2-story building and did the recording there, and which I think Jim was really excited that they were producing it themselves, and he showed up sober.
Yeah.
To most of the recording sessions. He was sober, on time, and ready to work, and I think it shows. I think this album in particular, he's really fired up, you know, raring to go.
Right.
He was happy that they were getting back to the blues roots.
Yeah.
He even dubbed the last day the Blues Day. I think they recorded LA Woman and Cars Hiss By My Window and Been Down So Long on That Day. And those are the heaviest blues tracks.
Yeah, it's definitely a blues. The Doors are kind of compared to having a blues and jazz mix to it. I think this is more blues of an album.
Right.
More heavy on the blues. So
I think John Desmore brings the jazz aspect with his style and everything, and Ray a little bit with his keyboards, but yeah. And also important to note with this album, Elvis's bassist Jerry Sheff.
Right.
This is his first time on a Doors album, and that excited Jim Morrison as well because he was a huge Elvis fan, and he was excited to have the bassist, and he's on every track.
Yeah.
And John Desmore actually he said he allows me to kind of follow Jim more because he's helping keep time, and he's so in the pocket, in the groove and everything, and he slows Ray down because Ray would kind of go off on a tangent with his keyboard playing, and he was a badass. Ray Manzarek was a badass.
Another wizard on the keyboard,
right?
You could say. I was kind of late getting into the Doors. It was probably maybe a year or two after I graduated from high school that I really listened to the Doors for the first time, seriously. Heard songs on the radio and stuff. And as I started looking through albums, and I'm like, okay, which one's the bass player?
Yeah.
And as I eventually found out, none of them was the bass player, really, not as far as a bass guitar goes.
Right.
And that always kind of shocked me, that there wasn't a bass player in a rock and roll band. But they made it work, and it's really hard to tell sometimes.
Right.
The songs are real, they just flow together so awesome on this album, and I guess really on all their albums. I think that's one reason why I like them. They just they've just got a natural flow to them, not overly produced.
Right.
Just they just have their thing. I don't know. It's hard to explain. Hard for me to explain anyway.
They did feel that Soft Parade was overproduced.
Yeah, I have.
It took
read
so.
that, yeah.
There was so. It took so much time to do that album because they had all the brass and the orchestra and everything going on, and it just was long and drawn out. This song is.
This is my favorite song. We'll just go ahead and say that.
It's badass.
It's my favorite song on this album. Yeah, LA Woman's probably next, but I love this song.
Yeah.
As the song comes on, I'm just instantly into it.
Well, you said your favorite song, so I'll say my favorite
All right.
song.
Okay.
The Changeling is my favorite
Really?
song.
Yeah.
The first track we heard, but this is tied for second with LA Woman. LA Woman is just so fucking fantastic.
It is.
It is just there's a video for LA Woman. I think that they did in the 80s. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't seen it.
And it's like it shows like the streets of LA and the traffic moving and everything, and that is exactly what the song embodies. Like just I can just see that every time, just the movement of the traffic and everything, just the flow of the city.
Right.
I've never been to LA, but
I've never been there either.
But I believe that LA looks like LA Woman sounds.
Yeah. The very beginning of that song where it goes, I mean, that right there just starts the whole thing as far as the whole traffic visualization in your head. And I just see, cars going down the road, maybe some palm trees in the background like you always see on TV,
Right.
I don't know. I've never been there either. Maybe I'll go there one day. All right, let's
crack the bourbon.
Let's do it. So what do you want to do first? You want to do the Larceny or the Elijah Craig?
Let's do the Larceny because it looks like it's ready to be finished off.
Yeah, I think it's ready to be finished off. All right. You don't have to have the rest of that if you don't want to. It's there if you do. And I, tonight, am in an ice mood, so I'm going to stick a cube of ice in,
And I, being a really not very well experienced with bourbon, and we're going to do what James does.
I personally like to take mine, I'll pour a little bit, I'll put 1 cube of ice in it, I'll shift it around a little bit to get some of that ice, you know, melted, get that water in there to blend in with it. Some people say that, you know, a splash of water or a little bit of ice kind of brings out more of the flavor. I guess, maybe, I don't know. I just like mine sometimes with a little bit of chill to it. Sometimes I just like it room temperature. It's just different. I don't know, depending on my mood. So I do have some notes on the larceny. So as you drink it and you smell it, yeah, do the smell first, okay. So this comes straight off of their website.
It's very woody.
So this description comes right after their website. An aroma of fresh bread and toffee.
I don't get that. I get wood.
I get wood too. With a note of butterscotch.
Again, wood.
Okay.
I mean, this smells like fresh planed wood to me.
Yeah. Okay, so the color, a bright copper color, I get that. All right, a long, gently sweet and savory finish. Do you get that out of it? Keep thinking about that.
Sweet and savory finish. Is that what it said?
Sweet and savory finish. Savory finish. Yes.
I do get a little bit of the sweet. I do get that.
I get a long, gently sweet and savory finish.
It's hot.
Yeah.
Just like all bourbon and whiskey.
Right. So this is also distilled and bottled by Old Fitzgerald Distillery in ye old Bardstown, Kentucky. A beautiful town. If you've never been there, you should go there and visit it. Right in the middle of the Bourbon Trail in the state of Kentucky. So, as we said earlier, bourbon, whiskey, he says tomatoes, I say banana, whatever. So, I did some kind of research on what makes bourbon bourbon.
All right,
okay?
tell me.
Okay.
I need to know this mystery.
I needed to know too, because I thought I knew, and I would read something, it'd say something different, and I would read something else, and it would say something different. But the general consensus of things kind of comes from this story that I read on CNBC.com. Rules that make bourbon bourbon. Number 1, it must be made in the U.S.
In the U.S.
Not just Kentucky.
I think I read that was a myth, that it didn't have to just be in Kentucky.
Right. Contrary to popular belief, it does not have to be made in Kentucky, but 95% of the world's bourbon is made in Kentucky.
Because we do it best?
Because we do it best. Correct. Rule number 2 in making a bourbon. Aging must take place in a new charred oak barrel. The bourbon must be aged for at least 2 years. I thought it was 4. This story says 2. So it must be aged for 2 years to be considered a straight bourbon. Rule number 3.
What was rule number 1 again?
Rule
Doesn't
number
have to be
1
made in Kentucky?
Doesn't have to be made in Kentucky.
And that's a rule?
It can be made anywhere in the United States.
Just U.S.
That's right.
Oh,
According
rule number
to
1 is made in U.S.
Made
rule
in the
number
U.S.
2 is aged 2 years in a fresh barrel.
Yes.
Freshly charred barrel.
Oak barrel, yeah. Brand new oak barrel.
Yes.
Right. Number 3, the mash must be at least 51% corn. And you can also, places will make it with rye or wheat, but in order for it to be considered a bourbon, it has to be 51% corn in that mix.
So barely mostly corn.
Barely mostly corn, correct. Number 4, the whiskey cannot enter the barrel at a higher proof than 125. And it cannot enter the bottle at a proof less than 80. Okay?
Okay.
I didn't know that either. And rule number 5, nothing can be added but water, and they can only add that to lessen the proof before it's bottled. So, whiskeys, they say, can add flavoring and coloring to make it look, richer, give it a more flavor. So, I guess artificial flavors, maybe, I don't know. But bourbon must be all natural.
So its beautiful coloring
Yep.
is just what it looks like when it comes out of the barrel.
Correct. Now I know that there's you can get blended where they have different ages and they blend those together to make a certain kind or a brand or a name of bourbon or whatever.
Right.
But if you can do the small batch, do the small batch and be good with it. The Larceny, I think I got that for like maybe $23 at the liquor store I bought that at. The Elijah Craig, which we have not opened up yet, I got it for $32, I think. So I mean, it's not terribly expensive. You can find cheaper stuff too, but I think you get what you pay for. So.
This isn't horrible. I mean, it's not making me go.
Right.
What's the last stuff we did? What's the previous one we did?
I think that was Heaven Hill.
Heaven Hill. This is better than that.
Yeah.
It's.
It was the Heaven Hill bottled in bond.
I mean, it's not complex by any means to me. I mean, it's not complex or anything like that. But it tastes like bourbon, but it's not. It's not killing me to drink it, and
it's not taking your breath away.
No,
it's not killing you as soon as you get it up to your.
I'm not doing the, the shudder or anything like that. But I mean, the biggest flavor that I can pick out is wood.
Yeah.
I mean, it tastes like. I mean, if you chewed on a pencil, that's what it tastes like.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, you can
go on, haters, and get your fingers typing and tell me I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
I'm
with you. Yeah,
this is honesty right here. I mean,
right.
it tastes like wood. There's none of this complex toffee or this or that. But
I'm not tasting that either.
But in a non-bourbon drinker, I mean, this is really tolerable.
Yeah. Now, if you really want to get under the bourbon connoisseur's skin, imagine it with like a Coca-Cola. I like to drink mine mixed with ginger ale. Some people call that a highball. There's different recipes for highballs, but the pretty simple recipe for the highball drink that I have found is bourbon and ginger ale. Okay, so now we're going to open up the Elijah Craig.
And it's small batch as well.
Small batch as well.
And it's small batch because it's smooth.
Yes. Made in true small batches for balance and smoothness. Yeah. So
that shit's not fucking smooth.
So for me, the best part of opening a bottle of bourbon is, I don't know if you could hear that or not, but the little pop.
Yeah, if it pops, then that means it's going to be all right.
I think it's going to be all right.
Do you remember that from back in the day?
I remember that.
Wild turkey bottles?
Yes. We popped many wild turkey bottles.
Yes.
Okay, so just smelling that, I don't smell it.
Because we got all this all.
Probably.
This funk's all over us.
We're already slushed on Larceny over here.
Out. We're already bourbon funk. I can't smell it. It's such a small hole though.
Well, let's pour it.
You got to put it in the glass like a fine wine. I'm not even finished with this one.
Oh well. Keith's a slow drinker. Alright, so the Larceny I've had before, this I have not had before, so this will be my first time trying this. I'm going to try it without any ice. Just room temperature.
So you can get the full effect.
I do smell it better in the glass. Not real strong smell.
I like the wooden.
It's pretty nice, isn't it? Okay, so this has got a little bit more of a burn. I'm going to go ahead and add some ice to it. It's got a burn at first, and I didn't do any kind of research on this because this was a last second buy before I came up here.
This smells. It smells more complex.
It does.
Is that because I didn't put any ice in it? Maybe. It does. Maybe you should look this one up.
I think as far as a sipping, just sitting around and sipping on some bourbon, I think I like the Elijah Craig better. I think it's got more of a blend of taste to it. I think
Elijah Craig they claim to be the first to char oak barrels.
Congratulations.
It says so right on the bottle.
It must be true.
In Bardstown, Kentucky, that's a...
I think this is more flavorful than the Larceny.
It smells... I'm trying to... There's some fruit in that. A fruit smell. Maybe some nail polish.
Nail polish remover or nail polish?
Yep. Yeah, it's
I'm a fan. I like it.
It's definitely the nail polish Dykem remover, maybe.
Yeah, right.
Dykem is something we use at work
Oh, okay.
to mark metal strips.
Have you tasted it? Oh, okay, here we go. All right.
Are you?
It's still smelling. Still smelling.
This is perfect. Mr. Mojo rising. It's definitely more flavorful.
It is more flavorful, I agree. It's got a more interesting taste. I don't know, there's more to it.
I can't pick up what it is. More, I think I get a little vanilla maybe in the flavor.
I think I like it.
Try it with a little ice.
So in Keith's expanding of his bourbon tastes here, maybe we found something that he likes. Not that he doesn't like other bourbon. Okay, so again, come home from a hard day's work, stressed out to the max. I'm gonna have a drink. Damn, all I've got's bourbon. Are you gonna drink this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, both of them are some of the best as far as flavor wise.
Now I have drank many bottles of the Larceny. Many bottles of Larceny. It's one of my favorites. Just sitting around just drinking. I've usually got it in my cabinet at home, along with Knob Creek, probably some Woodford, But I've never had this, and I like it. It may be a new addition.
The Elijah Craig is better.
I think it's better too.
It's the taste is more complex.
Mm-hmm.
There's more than just wood there.
Yep.
I mean, there are wood notes to it, but it definitely tastes like there's more there. I believe you can taste a little grain there.
Maybe. Yeah.
Even.
Yeah.
Maybe even a hint of malty to lean towards beer.
Right. And again, we're not, highfalutin bourbon tasters or anything. We're just everyday drinkers here. So, as I said earlier, you kind of get what you pay for. $25, I think it was, versus, a few more dollars. But, still, you're going to, I'll say it again, you get what you pay for.
Right.
A little bit more money. I like it a little bit more. So we'll flip this record over. So we flipped the record over here and playing the second side of LA Woman.
Hey, let's name the tracks.
Okay, name the
Shall
tracks,
we?
yes.
Side one was The Changeling, Love Her Madly, Been Down So Long, Cars Hiss By My Window, and LA Woman.
LA Woman, yes.
And this is La Mary.
Right.
Who knows where we left off?
Who knows? Who knows?
Did you just notice it?
Yeah, I just noticed it. Let's slice it all back together.
Alright.
Later on. Alright, so we've tried 2 different bourbons tonight. I think we liked them both. Should we rate them?
Let's rate everything.
Alright.
You go first.
The Larceny, I'll give it a 3 out of 5. Elijah Craig, I liked it better. I give it a 3.5 out of 5. I liked it a little bit better.
So, I can't remember what I rated the last bourbon. I think maybe I gave it a 3.
Maybe.
And I
don't
said
remember.
because I don't have much to go on.
Right.
So, the Larceny, I'd give it a 3.5 because it was better than the last one.
Right.
If I gave it a 3, that's a 3.5 because it was better.
Yep.
But it just tastes like wood. In my opinion,
Liquid wood.
it tastes like wood. There's no complexity there to me at all. But it's really drinkable. I mean, it didn't make me wince. It as far as bourbon and whiskey goes, it was smooth. But the Elijah Craig, yes, definitely more complex flavors. I could pull, I think, is vanilla out of there, and some fruity goodness maybe.
Right.
Maybe some kind of grains, but I would say I'm going to give it a 4.
You're gonna give it a 4, okay.
A solid 4, just because it's probably the best bourbon I've ever drank.
Awesome.
Out of bourbons that I've actually tasted and decided to do I like them? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. And there's some bourbons I like that I've liked a little too much and not liked them the next morning.
No. And
That's
we've all liked something too much and not liked it the next
I
morning.
think we've all been there. Okay, so The Doors, LA Woman, 5, Infinity, can't rate it. It's too good.
Right.
I mean, a true classic rock and roll album. Maybe it's rock and roll, maybe it's blues, maybe it's jazz, maybe it's everything. I mean, I don't think you can classify The Doors really. They were in the genre of rock and roll just because of the time.
Right.
I don't know that you can classify them. I just like to think of them as damn good musicians that made some damn good music.
Damn good music for infinity. I mean, The Doors will hold up until the end of time.
Yeah, and how long were they together for? A few years.
A few years.
Very few years.
Yes.
They put out 6 albums.
6 albums and done.
That started burning out quick.
Quickly.
You know,
Better to burn out than fade away, as Neil Young
as
says.
Neil Young says, right? Morrison died at 27. What other greats have died at 27?
Janice, Jimmy,
Kurt. Did Shannon Moon die at 27, 28?
Shannon Hoon.
Yeah, Shannon Moon. Did I say Shannon Moon?
Yeah.
Can't believe I just said that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'll cut that out.
I think it was 28.
28? Yeah.
I think
I knew he was close. Knew he was close. Alright, so anyway, again, if you haven't listened to LA Woman in its entirety, download it, buy it. I would suggest just going to the record store and buying it. If you say, oh, I don't have a turntable to play it on, well then go buy a turntable.
Yes.
You can find them all over the place.
Yes.
Now, just go buy it.
You got me one for $10.
$10 at a yard sale.
$10.
Go looking around. You can find really good stuff, especially records and record players for next to nothing at yard sales. The one I have I bought for $2, and it's great. Can't beat it. All right, so do we have anything else to add to this video?
Nothing else to add.
So the bourbon's kicking in on me. I can feel it. So I'm going to end my part of this video. If you have other things you'd like to say, please go ahead.
I like the bourbon.
I like it too. I'm gonna go ahead and pour some more.
I think next time I'm willing to spend about $30 and buy some Elijah Craig and have around the house.
Yeah, it's pretty good stuff. I'm finishing off this larceny, but you can't leave a shot of bourbon in a bottle. You gotta drink it.
Bourbon drinkers, wood.
Wood, not so wood.
Wood and not so wood.
Alright, so if you made it to the end of this video, we appreciate it. Sitting here watching us get blasted on bourbon here. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and check us out on the Instagram
And Twitter.
And Twitter.
We're on Twitter now.
Of course, hit that thumbs up on the channel. right down here and leave a comment. Let us know what you think about this video
Let
or
us
the
know.
doors.
Let us know what you think about James not having his mustache. His killer mustache.
No mustache. It's on the comeback, but it took a drastic shave the other day. So
Baby-faced boy over there.
yeah, that's me. All right. So anything you'd like to comment on, please leave a comment at the bottom of this video. We would appreciate it. So for Vibrations and Libations return in 2018, I'm James.
And I'm Keith.
Thanks a lot for watching, guys.
Adios. It was more smooth, but that shit wasn't fucking smooth.
Right.